shit hurting.
What's good, YouTube? It's Quintessential Q coming at you with a Sharen Build video today. Now, when it comes to Sharen, I'll say she's a bit of a controversial character because for some reason everyone believes that she's one of the worst descendants in the game, that she needs a rework, that she does no damage when it comes to bossing, and these things could be further from the truth. Now, in testing, I have done like solo Devourer runs in like under a minute. I've done like other Colossus fights within under a minute. So she does excellent boss damage. The thing is, you have to mod her based around her weapon. There is a way that you can mod her around her abilities. I'm still testing out that to see if we can get the same type of results from abilities. But people are not really focusing well enough on her weapon, and not only that, they are not making use of her kit properly in order to maximize the damage that you're getting from your weapons. So we're going to go over her build, we're going to go over her abilities very briefly, and overall just show how you should play and build Sharen. Now let's get into Sharen's skills and abilities before we dive into the build. Her one, which is called Cutoff Beam, does a sweeping slash in front of Sharen, dealing pretty respectable base damage, followed up by residual tick damage. Now, for the most part, in this build particularly, you will not be focusing this as your main source of damage. In the future, I do plan on having a more ability focused build. Not saying that we can't do ability stuff with this build, because we certainly can, and I will show that later on in the video, but we are more skewed to having weapon damage over our abilities. Now, that being said, this does provide like pretty good utility as a get off me move, and it does burst down elites as far as like the bigger tankier elites in normal missions. Now when it comes to bossing, however, it is not the best you could be using. You will definitely get more damage, at least as of right now, out of your weapons like your sniper, your shotguns, even launchers are really good for this build. But again, pretty respectable, something that you want to keep in handy at a moment's notice. Now going into the two, which is the bread and butter, whether you're using ability base builds or not, whether you're using a gun focus build or not, the two is the lifeblood of Sharen's kit. Now active camouflage, outside of the very obvious of making you invisible, also gives you a damage increase when it runs out, or if you do an instance of damage, whether that's from your guns, your abilities, even a regular melee. This will provide a 100% damage buff to the next instance of damage that you do. So in the case of R1, we do 295,000 on a crit. Let's see if we can get a non-crit just for comparison, and 165,000 on a non-critical hit. We go in Viz, use the one, and now that has changed to 551,000. A substantial increase in damage. Now on an ability focused build, we would be doing even more than that. So that's why I said, even though this is not the best ability for bossing, with active camouflage, cutoff beam is a really respectable skill. Now going on to her unfortunately worst ability in her kit is Shock Nuts. Now what Shock Nuts does is it stuns enemies. Now this only stuns regular enemies. Elites won't really be stunned by this, especially not the named elites, and Colossus will definitely not be stunned by this, so it only works on the regular mobs, making it a lackluster ability. Now there is an augment for it, which is Battle Suit Melting Rounds, which I do not have currently, that should be stripping electrical defenses and normal defenses. Now, the reason why I say should is because word on the street for people who have been using this mod and testing this mod is that it is not working. It actually doesn't strip any defenses. You just get a pretty AoE electric field that should be stripping defenses, but actually, in actuality, it doesn't. Now, when the devs eventually fix that mod, I hope by then I have that mod so we can do more testing, because that is super interesting. Another mod that she has in her wheelhouse of exclusive mods, I forget the name of it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. It should be right beside this mod right here, Overcharged Edge. You get this from Molten Fortress, and this is the mod that I plan on using in the build in the future. Modifies active camouflage to consume shields instead of MP. Ambush damage is increased by the amount of shields consumed. Again, as of right now, our ambush damage is plus 100%. Now, this cannot be increased by skill power modifier, none of that. It is a flat additional 100% of our damage. The only way we can increase that even a little bit is our passive, which I'll talk to when we get to that point. But for all case and purposes, it's a flat extra 100% of our damage. But with that mod, we can go even further than that. So unfortunately, like I said, the third ability is pretty useless, and with the augment mod for this third ability, according to everybody, it is currently bugged, so making it even more useless, because the one good thing about it is still useless. Finally is her 4. Flash Short Sword. Now what this does is spawn 9 blades behind Sharen, and she gains this little targeting reticle while in this stance. Now she can target as many enemies will fit inside this reticle, but she will always send out 9 swords. Furthermore, if you are only locked onto one character like we are in this demonstration, and you fire off the ability, only 3 of the 9 swords will fire at that one target. This is because in the skills text, it is locked to one enemy only receiving a max of 3 short swords at a time. You cannot increase this even with her like descendant module, Void Domination, which gives you an additional 9 blades, giving you 18 blades in total. You will still not do any more damage as far as like sending more blades at one target. So essentially at all times, if you're focusing a single target, you only get single target damage of 3 blades, making this terrible for bossing. It's just not good. So unfortunately, an ability that could be really great for bossing is just unfortunately nerfed by its own design. I don't know why they designed it this way, especially since she's like marketed as a single target assassin, but who knows, maybe a quality of life change will eventually come to this ability. Finally is her Assassinator passive. The passive allows us to refund camouflage instantly by getting a kill with one of our abilities, either R1 or R4, since those are our only 2 damaging abilities. On top of that, if an enemy is not targeting Sharen at the time of damage, you get an increase of 15% damage to your ambush damage. So instead of 100%, we get 115%. Not the biggest thing to write home about, but it is what it is. Now, the reason why that 15% is not that important is because in Colossus fights, active camo does not hide you from Colossus. From the Colossi, you will not be stealth just because you activate active camo, whether in group play or in solo play. If the Colossus just feels like targeting you, if it's your time to be targeted by the Colossus, even if active camo is up, you will still be shot at. So it is unfortunate. It's a little bit silly that it works that way, in my opinion, because then what's the point of the ability? But I guess, I don't know. The Colossi just have the Sharingan at the ready for when you go active camo. I guess that's just how it works, but it is what it is. For all normal missions, you will be untargeted by like normal bosses. Even like the elites will just like kind of leave you alone once you pop active camo. But again, the colossi will not. They will stay on your ass, trust me. Now we will get into the reactors as well as the components, and then we'll go into the descendant modules and then how to build out her weapon. The tingling mixture reactor is what we have here. We have its sniper rifle weapon class equipped because we're focusing on sniper rifles. You can use shotguns, you can use launchers with this build and have like similar, if not like in the case of shotguns, maybe slightly better results if it's a Colossus that has like lower to the ground weak spots, so you can reach them with the shotgun, because the entire spread of the shotgun will be doubled, not just one pellet. The entire spread will be doubled by Sharen's ambush passive on the 2. It will be buffed by that 100%. Electric skill power boost ratio and fusion skill power boost ratio, of course, because her 1 in 4 do deal fusion damage. Electric skill power boost ratio, again, just improves the 1 and the 4. Additional skill attack when attacking Colossus. This is primarily for the 1. Again, while it is not the best boss killing machine out there, it does do respectable damage even to the Colossus. So in the moments where we may not be able to get another sniper shot off during a down state, sometimes we can sneak in like the 1 damage off the invis and squeeze in that extra bit of burst damage to help us out. Now, as far as our external components, these are very basic. There are definitely better in-slot like components that you can get, but I wanted to show the build as is and show what I can do with the build, because we're still killing Colossi under a minute with the greatest of ease, and we're not even fully optimized. So even with us not being fully optimized, we are handling Colossi with little to no problem. So with the proper optimization, this build can go even further. HP support auxiliary, just double rolls on the max HP, just really nice. Defense support sensor, we get max MP, is a little bit comfy to cast more abilities, and HP recovery modifier. I would probably keep the max MP roll just to be able to cast abilities, because as you will soon see, we have pretty low cooldowns. Defense support memory, getting the double defense roll, and that defense roll being a ultimate role, we like that. We would want to see primarily both of our roles being ultimate roles on all of our components, but as of right now, this is pretty nice. And HP support processor, giving us a little bit more at max HP. The equipment drop rate doesn't really matter in most scenarios, and shield recovery modifier is meh, but you know, until we find something better, we will just stick with this for now. Now, going into the descendant modules first before we go into how to build out the weapon, these are the modules we're using. I have maxed out kicking as my sub attack module simply because I haven't yet leveled up midair maneuvering, because I recently got this module as of recently. So once this is fully maxed out and I could just replace it with kicking so I don't lose that capacity, we will do so. MP conversion, skill cooldown minus 36.5%. That is lovely at the small cost of minus 15% MP, which we do not care about. We do not care about that loss of MP at all. One of the reasons why one of our components is giving us more MP, to just completely negate that. Shot focus. This mod is, 1, a pain to get. How you get this mod is combining modules, primarily purple modules, or ideally purple modules, in order for it to spit you out a purple module with a small chance at a yellow module for shot focus. Now, you can combine blue mods and hope to get this, but it is a rare chance that 4 blue mods will give you a purple mods in my testing. I don't know if there's some unique combination to increase the drop rate of this mod, but in my testing, no. It doesn't really matter what you fuse together. You could put together 4 descendant mods, like 4 purple descendant mods, and get a gun mod. You can put 4 purple gun mods and get a descendant mod. It really doesn't matter, at least in my testing and my experience. But that firearm attack plus 15% at the small cost of a minus 15% skill power modifier does lower the damage of our skills, but that is completely negated with our next mod. Focus on fusion. Again, our 1 in 4 deal fusion damage. So fusion skill modifier plus 17% pretty much completely nullifies this plus 15%. Further to note, once again, skill power modifier, skill boost ratio does not increase the damage of ambush. It is a flat 100% at all times. So none of this affects the increase we get from ambush. But we are mainly using this for that skill cooldown minus 6.1%. Now we are leaving this unranked intentionally because we're only caring about that cooldown, and the cooldown maxes out at 6.1% at base. The cooldown will not go down any further than what it is. Now the reason why I have a catalyst is in the slot is for the ability build testing. In the ability builds, you would want to max out this mod, so there's just other presets that I have that is used for ability testing. Now, Electric Master is skill power modifier plus 44.4% and electric skill power plus 19%. Even though we are a gun focused build, we do not want to give up our ability damage altogether. So it is nice to throw a couple mods in the name of keeping our abilities up. Now, if you don't want to use your abilities at all for whatever reason, you can slot this out, you can slot this mod out and slot that mod out and just put more quality of life or comfortability skills, whatever you see fit, more survivability, what have you. Nimble Fingers skill cooldown minus 25.6%. This is just a generic mod getting those cooldowns as low as possible. With MP conversion, focus on fusion, and nimble fingers, we are at minus 68.2% cooldown. Emergency measures, just giving us skill critical hit rate and skill critical hit damage. We want those crits to be consistent as well as hit a little bit harder. Skill insight also helps us with those skill critical hits just being a little bit more consistent. Spear and shield, we're mainly here for the defenses because you need the survivability and hard mode content for sure. But the additional 8.1% skill power is definitely nice to have. Increased HP is into the same vein as Spear and Shield, just more survivability for us. Plus 218.5% max HP is really nice and really comfy. Again, those Colossi, they got the Sharen gun on lock. So you picking up allies and group play content is not going to help you. You will get shot at most likely. So you just gotta be able to tank a couple hits, maybe get off a revive, or maybe get yourself to safety if you're being like super heavy focus, stuff like that. That increased HP is really nice to have. Now the star of the show, the creme de la creme of the build, and the mod that I've been intentionally skipping around is a multi-talented. When using the Dimension active skill cooldown minus 20.5% for 5 seconds. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We don't care about this, the rest of what this mod does. We don't care that we get reduced cost reduction for fusion skills. We got fusion skills, but we don't care about that. And we don't have singular attack skills, so who cares about that? That minus 20.5% cooldown is what we're here for. As I told you, with MP conversion, focus on fusion, and nimble fingers, we're already 68.2% cooldown. That's nice. So this just makes us go to 88.7% cooldown reduction. That means our 1 is pretty much instantly coming back. Our 2, which is on a 6.4% cooldown, this is with the 68.2% because you have to manually proc the multi-talented so it does not pop up in like the card charts for your abilities. This is with the 68% and we already have it down to 6 seconds. With the multi-talented proc, this is on like a 3 and some change, a 4-second cooldown. It's just really nice. This ability that we never use is like on a 3-second cooldown. your ult comes back significantly faster. Even your passive that goes on cooldown comes back significantly faster. We already have it at 14 seconds. It's even coming back a little bit quicker than that. So this is a must-have if you were to put together a more budget build of this. Let's say you don't have the Kuiper to like max out all these mods, or you don't have the Catalyst to fit in all these mods at max. I would just say take out the skill mods. Take this out, take this out, take this out. You'll be at 61 capacity with this current setup. Of course, some of these are reduced, so like this would be an additional 8, this would be an additional 8, and this would be an additional 3, as well as this will be an additional 8. Also, you can put a Catalyst mod here to give yourself 5 capacity, which is why I put this here, just so I don't have to mod out every single slot within this build, just so I can flip and flop mods between different build ideas that I am currently having. It's just a lot easier to have that flexibility. Now, going into our weapon of choice, we are using the Forest Gaze. Do not care about this Thunder Cage, do not care about this weapon, which will most likely get replaced with a sexier weapon. These two weapons are just here for decoration. The Forest Gaze is our bread and butter, the weapon we are relying on. This is pretty much the weapon that will be in our hand 99.9% of the time. The only time we would ever pick out one of these two weapons is if we're doing group play content and we need to do something like kill ads or drop the pylons that Devourer like spawns during his health regen phase, like stuff like that. But for the most part, 99.9% of the time we're using the Forest Gaze. Now, I will say this is not the most optimal sniper that you can be using. If we go into access info, I don't currently have it built, but the Afterglow sword, the yellow weapon here, the ultimate weapon here, is a lot better to go for. This will be your best in-slot sniper rifle to create. So if you have the materials, or if you're really close to the materials, I would say hold off on leveling up another sniper and solely focus on getting this, because this will just make your damage increases more consistent, because its unique ability gives you more critical hit rate and it just does more base damage fully leveled up at level 100. But in the meantime, we're using the Forest Gaze, which in my testing seems to be the hardest hitting of the purple snipers, which is very important to us. Some of the other snipers shoot slightly faster, but it is not fast enough to just outweigh the pound for pound damage we're getting in a single instance. Remember, the ambush damage is only applied to the very first instance of damage that you do. Now, granted, it does apply to tick damage of an ability. Like if we were to hit to R1, not only is the initial hit like increased by 100%, the following ticks are also increased by 100%. In the same way, if we had an element mod in this build and we caused a status effect, not only is that initial bullet increase, the following ticks from that status condition are also increased by 100% from our ambush passive, but it will not like buff the second shot we take if we do not like re-up on the invisibility. Weak point expansion is our first mod here. I prefer this over strengthen first shot. In testing, strengthen first shot does do a little bit more damage shot for shot, but weak point expansion is in the long run more consistent, and in the long run will give you more DPS. That is because there are scenarios where you do not have a shot to reload into for the enhanced shot for this mod, making this essentially a dead mod when those scenarios come up. And since high powered rounds are few and far in between to run into, you will definitely run into that situation a lot. Weak point expansion, however, we never run into that situation. As long as we're hitting a weak point consistently, which is the point of using a sniper anyway. We should be doing that anyway. For the most damage possible, we're going to be getting that enhanced shot every 10 seconds. And the damage difference between these two mods isn't so substantial that we would use strengthened first shot over that. It is about a difference of about 10 to 15-ish% or so. Action and reaction may as well just read plus 61% firearm attack, because that that recoil is inconsequential to us. It doesn't really hurt our DPS uptime like that, as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you have good aim, and we don't really care about the recoil. Who cares? Rifle reinforcement, firearm attack plus 32%. That is very comfy, very nice. It's just a generic good mod to equip to all weapons, not just this sniper rifle. Better concentration, again, just a good generic mod to increase your overall damage. Weak point sight not only synergizes with weak point expansion over here, but it just gives us that generic weak point damage that we're looking for. And better insight, making our crits just a tad bit more consistent, and that is overall just upping our damage. Now, as you can see, I only catalyst this weapon twice, I'm not sure. And as you can see, we can fit in a good amount of mods. Now, I will say we could fit in more mods if we put more catalysts in it, but again, this is not the best in slot weapon. We want to save those materials for Afterglow Sword, and that's exactly what I'm doing. Furthermore, in group play, it is not a bad idea to slot in one of these types of mods: special round charge improvement, impact round charge improvement, or general round charge improvement, just because since the Colossus will have more health, you will be in that fight for longer, and you will be hurt for ammo without one of these mods. What these mods do is convert the corresponding ammo type of the mod's name into ammo for your sniper. So impact round charge improvement will convert impact rounds into high powered rounds for your sniper. Leveling this up just decreases the capacity cost. It does not change any other thing except that. Now, my recommendation for this is you would use this for whatever is not in your loadout currently. For example, I have a general rounds weapon, a impact rounds weapon, and of course a high power rounds weapon. So I would use special round charge improvement because I do not have a special round weapon. So now, I will say you have to have your sniper equipped when picking up the ammo, because even if you roll over a special ammo thing while your other weapon is equipped and not your sniper, you will not get that refund to your sniper rifle. I hope that is a quality of life change that happens in the future, but as of right now, the sniper rifle must be in your hand in those scenarios. It's not the biggest deal in the world because again, you're going to be using this 99% of the time, so most of the times this comes up, but there is very few niche cases in group play where that does come up. Now, going into the overall play style of the build, what you want to do is make use of that multi-talented mod. So you want to go into active camo and as quick as possible before that timer on a multi-talented up is get your shot off with your shotgun, your sniper rifle, your launcher, that hard-hitting instant burst of damage in order to do that. You can also do this with your skills as well for that increased burst of damage. And to note that that cooldown reduction does also apply to your one, so you are pretty much immediately getting that back with this build. Now, that being said, I personally do not let the entire animation of active camouflage play out, and that is simply because this is DPS downtime that you can easily just mitigate by canceling the ability. So I will play out the active camo in its entirety and then mash the fire button as fast as I can during the animation to show you the earliest I can shoot.
Initiating stealth.
That's the earliest I can shoot while committing to this animation. However, if I were to cancel the animation, That is significantly faster. That is significantly faster. It is a noticeable increase in DPS uptime for us. So that is why we just all around cancel the animation. And again, the Colossi got the Sharen gun anyway. So us going through this and keeping the active camo, keeping the invisibility does not mean anything in Void Intercept fights. In a normal mission, they may be niche cases where you would want to use the entire like animation so you do get that invis, maybe to pick up a teammate or something and then get your shot off. But unless you're in those types of niche scenarios, you will not be doing that. Now, there is a run that I will be posting at the end of this, but when it comes to abilities, again, this is not an ability focused build, but with this build setup and just a little bit of switching around mods for more ability damage, you can do nutty stuff with abilities too. You can go invis, proc that cooldown, bam, bam, like this is coming back immediately. Now we mistimed like our last one, so instead of the increased cooldown, we got cost reduction. So please keep that in mind. You always want to use the active camouflage to refresh that cooldown reduction.
Target eliminated.
Like that. But we can do crazy damage with our abilities as well, as long as we have MP, of course. So switching out some of those mods for more MP may be a little bit more comfy. As far like switching out like shot focus and stuff for MP may be more comfy for an ability damaged base build. Now that will be all for the build. That will be all for the weapon setup and the overall guide on how to play Sharen. I will put a hard mode Devourer run at the end of this video. If either that run or what you have seen so far makes you a Sharen believer, please make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I plan on doing more content for the First Ascendant, more build videos, an updated build video when I have this fully like augmented the way I want it to, and we will definitely be putting out more content for this game. I'm addicted to this game. I'm on this game like all the time, so we are definitely going to put out content for it. That being said, I'll catch you on the next one. Enjoy the run, and until next time, see you later.